So this is a critical level for many charts. The PulseX pulse ratio, the PulseX ETH ratio as well, Pulse Ethereum, Pulse USD. These are all very critical levels that we're at right now. So what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we will be doing a PulseChain emergency video. If you like these kind of videos, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and check out the sale at cyphers.io. Snag your dream website at these lower prices right now before they go up at the end of the month. So you have about 10 days. Link in the description below. Now we're gonna look at a few charts here, but let's just start with the core PulseChain asset, PLS. Now we've been talking about PLS in a few different lenses for the past couple weeks, almost a month, and we can give an update on a few of those, such as moving averages. We can start with those. So as you know, if you've been keeping up with the videos, you know we've been comparing the current move we're in to these two moves that PulseChain experienced in its history. Now, mind you that 2 data points are nowhere near enough to create an actual, predictable pattern. But again, this is all speculation. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. It's not financial advice. I just like to look at historical patterns to see if they may play out again. Now, back here, right, we saw Pulse oscillate around the 50-day moving average and then find resistance on its 200-day and then come back down. Now, mind you, this was definitely a more bullish setup because we had a clean linear uptrend before shooting off, compared to something like this, right, where it was actually a downtrend on the lows before shooting off. And today we have something a little in between, right? Because we had this linear uptrend, but then it broke. And so now we have this strange situation where we are retesting these lows that, if you remember, I said we probably want to protect if we want to actually hold our local uptrend. So just breaking it here for you in real time and in pure honesty, the local uptrend is broken, right? And even though the linear uptrend broke, we still had a shot of holding these lows, but now we actually tested them, and today's candle looks like it wants to close beneath it. I think it's about an hour left until the candle closes or so, and we might close beneath it, which is not good, right? We definitely wanted to see that close above it. So I guess what can we expect now? Well, interestingly enough, it looks like we might be wanting to form an inverse head and shoulders. Now, typically those are bearish patterns. And again, I don't like making these bearish videos, guys. I'm just telling you what I see in the charts. And more often than not, these inverse head and triangle or inverse head and shoulders break down. However, we do have some hope for a right shoulder, right? And the right shoulder would pretty much be around this like 3.6 level or so. So there could be a short-term relief rally and we go there. But if we get rejected by this right shoulder level at about 3.6 and start coming back down to the 2.4s where we are now, well, then that's when this level is in play, the 1.66 level, which is PulseChain's all-time low. Again, I know it's not what you want to hear. It's not what I want, right? I hold PLS. I love PLS. I prefer to be a bull. It's way more fun. But this is what I see in the charts. That 1.7 level is now potentially in the cards, and that would be a double bottom, right? So that's the bearish case with some short-term bullish relief potentially. Now, another situation that is, more bullish, right? If we don't necessarily have to come back and test these lows, would be that we're in a situation similar to over here, right? Where price simply oscillated around the 50-day or green curve, and it looked like a gold cross was coming in hot over here, right? And then green started curving down and we were forming lows beneath it. Over here and over here. And notice how our golden cross was delayed. It was kicked down the road for about a month or so before we recovered, and then the green curve started curving up. We had our golden cross and it was go time. Right? Over here was way cleaner. Our golden cross approached, came in hot, and then just sent it, right? And the reason I say our current state looks more similar to back here, late 2023, early 2024, is because of that reason. we had this golden cross that looked like it was coming in hot, and then what happened is now the green curve is sort of falling over a bit, and it's sloped downwards. But again, not all hope is lost. That happened over here as well. We formed some lows beneath it, came back up to it, and actually to red, our 200-day, it was closer to it at the time. It's actually curving down now, so somewhere around 3.4 to 4.2 is where these moving averages are. So in a situation like that, well, what would happen would be we would come back up, right? Form some lows right here, come back up, maybe find resistance on green or red, depending on where they are, right? Maybe somewhere in between them. We would come back down for a final low, and then it would be go time. We would have a golden cross, maybe late July, early August, and then we could go potentially higher and talk about higher resistance levels. So that's sort of the more bullish case. The more bearish case was obviously come up to form a right shoulder and then break those lows and come back down here. So it's really anyone's guess. I bet you love it, right? It could go up or down. That's why you love these videos. It's all speculation at the end of the day. And, I'm not in the business of making hard predictions, but rather just adapting to the market in real time. So, even putting percentages on the likelihoods of both of these paths is very tricky, right? We'd have to see other things like Ethereum, Bitcoin, interest rates, all of that, right? It gets deep. And there are some great channels for that, like, Into the Cryptoverse, Dollar Cost Crypto, our community legend. He's really good at talking about the macro too. So I would suggest checking out their videos if you want more in-depth on the macro. Now, yeah, so Pulse is kind of at a make or break point. And if you look at its Ethereum ratio, well, we actually are at, close to all-time lows. Now, these were the range lows. And I said, look, if we break them, well, then this wick here is in the cards at about, 7 zeros and a 1. We did go there, worked a little beneath it. We actually held this, right, which is nice to see, but we are very, very close to all-time lows on the PLS ETH ratio. If you look at the RSI, we are close to these levels too, where Pulse usually bounces against ETH, with the exception of this period over here in about April to July, kind of the summer of 2024, where we actually broke beneath that on the RSI. And that was what caused us to go down about 50% and form this new range. So it's not looking too hot, right? We don't want to see something like that where we break our all-time lows and then just sort of form this new range at 50% beneath the current levels. That wouldn't be fun, because then you could say, if you're bearish, you could say, like, we're just going to be stuck now in this lower range. Again, it's a make or break time. That's why I call this an emergency video, because it's a really critical moment for PulseChain. PulseChain against USD, critical moments. PulseChain versus Ethereum, it's a critical moment. And and talking about Ethereum, we're doing something similar to what we've done a few times. And when Ethereum goes up, oftentimes Pulse goes up with it. PulseX goes up with it. Hex goes up with it. Incentive token goes up with it. A lot of PulseChain ecosystem assets go up with Ethereum. But when Ethereum goes up and then it starts flattening out and going sideways, I've noticed that uncertainty of where ETH is going to go next takes Pulse down, right? Confidence leaves the PulseChain assets and we just go down. And a perfect example is the recent move, where Ethereum went from about 1,500 or so to about 2,800 or so. Over here is about 2,700. So Ethereum almost doubled. And what did PulseChain do? Well, it did a little over a double. It went from the 1.7 level to about the 4.4 level. So it performed better than Ethereum during that uptrend. But look what happened here. Ethereum started going sideways. 2,700 started oscillating between 25 and 2,700. And that sideways movement caused this sort of top formation in Pulse. And we've still more or less been going sideways on ETH between that 25 to 2,700 level, about 2,400 right now. And PulseChain has just been selling off since. The situation that is late 2023, where Ethereum, again, was at around 2,200 to 2,400 or so, and it was going sideways. But eventually the sideways was too much over here around, around Christmas, actually. And PulseChain just kind of dipped from 6.5 all the way down to about 5. right? Which is like a 20+% dip, whereas Ethereum just, had a little $100 dip, which is not, it's like a 5% dip for Ethereum. So it seems to me that when Ethereum just goes sideways after a move, it introduces some uncertainty in the PulseChain chart, some confidence leaves, and it just sells off, maybe to buy Ethereum, who knows? But yeah, that's the kind of situation right now. So again, Ethereum is really important for PulseChain, for altcoins in general. Some people call Ethereum the king of the altcoins, or even an altcoin season proxy, whatever you want to call it. And it's very true. A lot of these, a lot of these coins perform well when Ethereum performs well, and underperform when Ethereum underperforms. So that's kind of the analysis on PulseChain, right? There are a few other charts we can look at, such as the PulseX to Ethereum ratio. And similarly, right, where Pulse came down to this wick, PulseX came down to these range lows. So this could be a spot to bounce, right? But now we have this uptrend that we used to have as potential resistance. Unfortunately, if we want to get back into it and go higher, that's the bull case. However, the bearish case would be, we have these lower highs. We just form another lower high, come back down, lower highs, and then we just break down into our actual all-time lows, which are around these levels or so. So that's the more bearish case. Another chart we can look at is the PLSX to Pulse ratio. Now, this is an interesting one, actually, because as you can see, this 200-day moving average seems to have held support ever since we broke out here in early January of 2024. Now, funny enough, if you look at the weekly, the RSI is actually the lowest it's been since January of 2024. So the RSI is pretty low, not all-time lows. That would be 47, 47.3 over here, 47.2. We're still holding our uptrend parallel channel technically. We did close some candles below our other moving averages that have held support, our bull market support band, right? Our 21-week moving average on a daily time frame. And if we let's show the 200 as well to show you, like, at first we were holding support on this sort of 20-week moving average band, right? Every time, until we wick beneath it, we actually hit red, right? And over here was support on there. If we keep seeing this, we had a little bounce off our 20-week moving average over here, but now we actually came back down to red. And we've only touched red truly twice, right? And both times were great buying opportunities before going higher at around the 0.55 level, the 0.5 or 0.6 level, and we pretty much doubled from there, right? So we've definitely been forming lower highs. Like over here, we actually broke that downtrend over here, but still we have lower highs on kind of the global time frame, 1.95, 0.94 or so. So we definitely want to get above like 0.94, 0.96, and pretty much test the 1 level if we want to see this parallel channel uptrend maintain. Funny enough, the top of it is around that 1 level. It's all-time highs. And yeah, funny enough, we're also at red, our 200-day moving average. So this is a critical level for many charts. The PulseX Pulse ratio is at a critical level where we could bounce. The PulseX ETH ratio as well. Pulse Ethereum, Pulse USD. These are all very critical levels that we're at right now. So I felt it justified to call this an emergency video. Now, I don't want to be too bearish. Don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but this is a critical moment for PulseChain. We definitely want to see it, start going higher if you want to remain bullish. And we want to see Ethereum also perform well to kind of bring back some of that confidence and certainty back in the market of, okay, we're going up, to actually see Pulse, PulseX, and whatnot go up. So thanks again for watching. Let me know if you agree in the comments down below with my analysis. Subscribe to the channel. 20% of you are not subscribed, and our goal is to hit 100,000 subscribers this cycle. I know it's far off, but I think we can do it. And also check out cyphers.io. Link in the description below. Sale going on until the end of the month, so about 10 days left to snag your dream website at these lowered prices. I appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.